Jeffrey HVAC, um, back again with another video, telling you about a condenser fan motor. How to replace one in the field, guys. How do you replace a fan motor? Okay, very, very complicated, although easy when you get to know it. But very complicated for me still, obviously. Anyway, though, first I'm going to bring up what kind of tools do I need to replace a fan motor. What kind of tools do I need? Well, you're going to need a crescent wrench. You're going to need a pair of channel locks. You're going to need a pair of side cutters, or as you'd like to refer to as dikes, or works the same way, just wire strippers. And then you're going to need a 6-in-1. Okay? And also the tools I do not have on me, I'll just name them. But make a list. They are called a hub puller, WD-40, or zoom spout oil. 3 things. And then a fairly big piece of sandpaper. That's what you're going to need. So basically, in an AC unit, as we do know what an AC unit looks like, we do know that the top of an AC unit looks something like I really can't describe. It looks something like this, guys. So something like this here. I'm just going to be explaining this real quickly. So you have your top shroud where your fan is, and the rest is a cage. And see, right around here you're going to have 4 volts. So you're typically going to have 4 bolts on top of an air conditioner unit. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's solid right here. And then you have metal wired cage all around that. This is where your motor is mounted. Upside down, shaft down, blade down, basically. That's how, and typically you're going to have something right here that says carrier. It's going to be carrier, like, let's say, like right up here where the motor mounts onto. So, anyway, you're going to want to get your 6-in-1, and you're just going to want to loosen all the screws around the AC unit until you get that cage loose to where you can flip it over while you watch the wires on the motor, or you can just simply cut them with your wire strippers or your side cutters. And basically, you're gonna just want to cut those and basically let it loose and take it to the ground. Otherwise, if you don't want to cut them and you just want to see the wiring goes first, basically just that PVC or that plastic conduit, basically just pull on it, basically just enough, not too hard, just to gain some slack, and then basically flip it over so that way you don't slice the wires when you are flipping the motor over, because there's this little hole that goes down into the AC unit that the wires go through that piece of conduit. So you want to be careful with that, but gain enough slack basically, so that way you can flip it over. And number 2, you're going to want to, not on the round spot, because there's a round spot of a shaft on a fan motor and there is a flat spot. When you replace a fan motor, guys, you always want to look at this flat spot. Whenever you're putting it back together or taking it off, you always want to notice that your set screw is on the flat spot right here. And the reason why, so that way it stays. It needs to be in something solid. You always want to do that. And so you know, on the new motor, just make a mark. Hey, this is where the top of my fan blade was right here. This is where I want on my new motor. So you have a point of reference. Then loosen up that set screw, take it off. Then get some WD-40 sandpaper, channel locks, or a hub puller, and basically just tighten the hub puller around the hub itself, and basically get a crescent wrench and tighten it. Basically turn it to the right to where it pushes this shaft out of the hub of the fan blade. Or number 2, if you don't have one, just get a pair of channel locks. If this does work, basically just turn to the right the entire time. Basically, after sanding it down and everything like that, if you have enough room under the fan blade, that is, or on the top, until it gets high enough. And basically just turn it to the left the entire time. While you turn it to the left, you want to slightly, on the bottom of the fan blade, push push up on it, basically, because you're trying to loosen this shaft left out of the fan blade itself. And once you do that, you'll notice that the fan blade's way up here at this point, and you keep going to the left with your channel locks, WD-40 to loosen it and make sure it spins. And basically, sooner or later, you're going to loosen this shaft out of that fan blade. That's what's going to happen. Once you get that fan blade off, next what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip the motor over to where you have that top mount at with those 4 bolts. You're going to want to take your crescent wrench, and you're going to want to probably lean in to get something like your legs or something, or maybe the AC unit itself. And basically, there's going to be 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are on these threaded metal parts on the bottom of your fan motor that holds it in. And so you're going to want to take a crescent wrench, guys, and you're going to want to loosen all 4 of those until you can hand loosen all of them. Basically, then the motor comes right out. Put the new motor in the same way it came in. Basically, put the new motor in the same way it will sit in. Basically, you're going to want to flip it over upside down so that way it's leaning somewhere so that it don't fall, because it's only supported on this shaft right here. You're going to want to tighten those bolts with your crescent wrench. Hand tight first and then crescent wrench. Flip it back over. Then you're going to want to get your fan blade, basically. And you're going to want to put the fan blade right over here. Be taking notes, guys. Just noting here. Be taking notes. Okay? Be taking plenty of notes so you guys understand. And now I'm going to put a mark right here. That mark I just made earlier, this is where my new blade is going to go on this new motor. And put the blade right here on the flat spot where that hole is on the blade, so I can put my set screw in here and tighten it up. Okay? Once I tighten that up, not too tight, but just snug, pretty tight to where I can't turn it, then we're good. Now, let's say that the shaft of the new motor is skinnier than this one. It does not fit through the fan blade. You'd be like, oh, it's too skinny. It doesn't fit through there. It's just too much room. It's not sitting in there good. You want to bring this old motor to the parts store. Hey, I need a filler for a shaft that is about the same thickness of this shaft of this old motor. It doesn't fit over the shaft basically, but it's the same thickness of the shaft, I mean. And so they'll give you something like that. It's called a filler. You put on the new shaft, put the blade over it, fits right over. Remember where your mark is on the flat spot of the shaft. Tighten your set screw down with a crescent wrench. Once you do that, then you basically have everything put together. Now get your wiring, feed it right through your plastic conduit or your PVC. You see a hole down in the AC unit that the wires go down. Basically feed them down there, stick your head in there, feed them all the way out to the electrical panel on this side. Plug them all in where they go. Flip this over, get your 6-in-1, tighten the top back up, and you are good to go, guys. That is how to replace a fan motor. I hope everyone is being educated pretty good on this. One other thing I would like to note is every time you replace a condenser fan motor, you always put a new capacitor in as well. Basically, the only thing is how it's wired to the old capacitor. Whether if it's good or bad, you always replace a new capacitor because it's a new motor and you can't take any chances. You just want a new capacitor for it. When you put a new capacitor, you want it to be wired up the same way you unwire the old one. Basically, wire that up just like that, the 2 brown wires. And basically, yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys do enjoy. Once again, you guys want to get the same model number, the same part number, RPM, the same speed motor as the previous one that you are taking out and you're replacing with. But one thing I do want to tell you is, let's say that there are 2 options. You want to do the universal. Go to the parts store and say, hey, this is my old motor. This is the part number. I want a universal motor that replaces this motor. Or I want the OEM motor that replaces that is this motor. This is the part number here. Okay, here it is. If they don't have it, okay, well, unfortunately, got to tell the customer, hey, Sally, they don't have the motor, so I told the parts store to order it, and I have to come pick it up this day from that same parts store because they don't have the motor on them right now. So this is what I'm gonna have to do. But otherwise, if they do have it, just ask for that universal or the OEM motor, which means the original motor, the same exact motor, and give them the part number, and you can replace it as of that. Now, if the shaft is too skinny, just like I said, and does not fit inside the fan blade, then basically you're going to want to get a filler the same exact thickness of the shaft. Not that fits over the shaft, but the same thickness of the shaft. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I hope you guys are being very well educated. Thank you for watching HVAC with Jeff.